was it.
No.
Did she jump ahead?
Skip to the end.
Oh, Hannah, please don't touch that.
Go on.
Sorry, let's try this again, guys.
I wanted to do the most unnatural thing to me and come on this video and talk to you about my stories. So many times I've been asked to tell my story and I've hesitated to do it, or the times that I've done it I haven't felt comfortable. About 5 years ago I had a truck fire and I had chemical burns to my lungs and smoke inhalation. It was the worst situation I've ever been through in my life. After my truck fire, there was a lot of things that happened. I had lots of doctor visits every week. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't walk upstairs, I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. My father had to take care of me, my wife had to take care of me. For a guy that was young, you know, dealing with owning a landscaping company, dealing with all the things that I dealt with on a regular basis, it was an experience that nobody should have to go through. At the time of my truck fire, I was on 16 medications. The doctors couldn't figure out how to treat me, they couldn't figure out how to take care of it. I would go from having an infection in my lungs to the next day having to take an antibiotic to fix it, to the next day being down for 2-3 days. It was a rough situation for me, and I just didn't know how to cope with it. It was stressful emotionally, physically. I realized that I needed to do something more. Finally, I walked into my pulmonologist's office and said, I want to try something new. I want to do essential oils. And he looked me in the face and said, you're controlled on your medication, you can't go off of it. So I said, well, I'm going off of my medication. I'm going off tomorrow, what should I expect? And he looked me in the face and said, it's not advisable, and it's probably not the best thing you should do. But the next day I decided to go off of it. I used essential oils to help me. I was violently sick for 3 days. And I'll tell you what, after just a few weeks of doing essential oils and changing my diet, I felt better than I ever felt. Essential oils changed my life. If it wasn't for essential oils, I'd probably still be on my couch. From that experience, I was changed. I wanted to use essential oils more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to do more. I got on a plane and went to the doTERRA convention about 6 weeks after I started using essential oils. I really got inspired at the doTERRA convention, and I stood in line for hours waiting to purchase some roller bottles. Realized nobody should have to wait 2 hours. After convention, my wife and I, we ordered some things at convention to have delivered to our house. We waited several weeks because we're on the East Coast in New Hampshire, and it took a long time to get there. So I started looking and researching this industry and what it was to sell essential oil tools. And first I realized there was nobody on the East Coast. So I said, okay, we need to open on the East Coast. Then the second thing I realized was that the cost of shipping is so expensive. The time frame to get it there was so long. So I decided that it needed to be in New Hampshire. It needed to be fast shipping. We needed to have great customer service. Your Oil Tools was started not to make money, but it was to help people and to supply products to our teams and our friends at the time. I'm passionate about what I do, and I care about every single thing that we bring into our store. Obviously, you know, everybody's got passion for different things, and there's a lot of different things in life that you can get passionate about. But mine's Oil Tools. I do this every day because of the fact that without essential oils, I would be on the couch still, doing the same things that the doctors told me to do. I don't like telling my story. And the reason I don't like telling my story is I don't like coming on the camera and talking about it. But I feel like it's important for me to say exactly what I've been through, because maybe it'll change somebody else's life or help encourage somebody else.
So thanks for listening to that twice. So it just became very evident to me how much work my editing team had to do, because I am not someone that likes to talk on camera. You can see those cuts where it goes from that to that. He said it was some cool thing that they're doing now with video content. It was actually me messing up so much. So I mean, just to give a perspective of that, that's why I wanted to share the video. Thank you for watching the video. Thanks for listening. I think Tamara is almost done talking in the back, and we'll get started. But called her out. Sorry.
There's a part of him that feels so alive right now.
Too much coffee.
Okay, so we're going to start with the panel. And I get to bring up some people I really, really love. So we're going to do, we haven't even talked about this for the pictures. We're going to bring up first Dr. Chris and Jamie Spellman. And the reason we were doing a session, and within about 15 minutes, I was like, yeah, they're on the panel. They're on the panel. And why? Because they're a couple doing this, And they're ridiculously funny, which is my love language. If you're funny, we're gonna hang out forever. Like totally forever. But they're not afraid to learn and to be teachable, which for me, in my industry in coaching, is crucial. So the next person is Erica Jennings. And I didn't actually know Erica, but one of my, it's gonna sound like I'm name dropping, but just hang in there. A good friend of mine is Stephanie Martin, who couldn't be here today. And I said, Stephanie, I want your team to be represented. Who do you want? And without hesitation, within a second, she said this one, which says something, because I've worked with all of her qualifiers and their qualifiers, and that's just a big one right there. So I was like, yeah, done, done. And then Tina Mulholland. Tina is a part of the Freedom Tribe, so, okay, good, the carbs set in. Carbs have set in, you feel a little? Okay, we'll let you get that off. Tina and I worked together for a long time, and Tina, it was the conduit, really, for me to work with everybody that's on Freedom Tribe. There was no question. That's it, and then there's an extra one. I don't know what that's about. I'm just gonna lean, actually. There you go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let you guys ask questions. This is not a time to be like, oh, I wanna ask that, but I don't wanna ask that because what if it sounds stupid? The only question that is stupid is the one not asked. And you have a lot of people in this room, and these are champions. Like, they know how to build. And what I love is they're still in the trenches. They're still, like, their sights are set on this is what it's going to take to walk, this is what it's like to be there. So please do not play that, I don't want to ask. Go ahead and ask. There might be a treat if you do. I can't guarantee that, but maybe. I don't know. So Steve is going to come to you, so if you have a question, just raise your hand. Just don't shout it out. Well, you can if you want, but it might feel weird for the people around you. Okay, so who has a question? There it is. Christine Ferry, I do, representing Delco. I'm going to say Delco a lot today because it's fun.
What is one element of your daily routine, something that you do every single day that you think has really benefited the most in your business?
All right, so daily routine, I think first you have to establish it is like number one. So if you don't have anything that you do daily, then that is the first step, is to pick one thing and keep trying it. So for me, it usually is exercise. So just sets that intention on focusing on myself for the first couple moments of the day. I have 3 young boys, so my house is crazy. So just getting your body moving and that focus on yourself.
For me, my morning habit is always to find myself in prayer. So I will pray, ask the Lord to give me whatever I need for the day. And sometimes, if that's not your thing, meditate on it or whatever your thing may be. But do that and then do a brain dump. So I sit down and write down everything. Okay, this is all the 800 things I have going on. Do a brain dump of, okay, I know I've got baseball practice tonight, or this has to happen, or that has to happen, and I get everything out of my brain, so then I really can focus on the things that matter. So the same thing isn't going to happen every day. It might not be a follow-up every day, it might not be a mentor call every day, but getting my mind and my heart rate first, and then getting everything out on paper is definitely the first step.
So I would say the number one thing for me personally is my devotions and my journaling. And it took me a really long time to get there because I kind of figured if you go to church, you're a Christian, or you spend time somewhere, you spend time in a yoga studio, you can do yoga. And that's not the case. So I needed to make it my own and get in the practice of doing it daily and being very deliberative about it. And that's just helped me grow in my life and my business.
Can I do something really cliche? Yeah. Be a product of the product. Use your oils every day. Oh, but seriously, using them throughout the day, like from sun up to sundown, is kind of important, especially if you're going to be telling other people about them. Be passionate about what you do. You guys kind of really stole half the stuff I was going to say anyway, so devotions are important. I think the important thing for me is to take the focus off of myself and be others oriented. Always think about the people around you and how you can be a benefit to them, how you can be the light in their world. You have to realize that people around you are living in a lot of messed up beliefs, and they're living with a lot of lies that convinced themselves are true. And you can be that person to reach out to them in love and tell them, listen, there's a better way, and not just with oils, but in life in general, especially when you start doing leadership training and learning how you can help people change their lives from that perspective. Then you have a message that you have to share with people. It is your obligation to share that with other people. So when you've benefited, you better get out there and help the other people around you benefit as well. In love.
Who's next? Hannah is next.
So, what oils do you
Jess
use
is
in your
next.
diffuser every day?
Good question. What did she, wait a minute,
Awesome
we have a
question.
question up here. What did she say? What did she
Hannah
say?
said, what oils do you use in your diffuser every day?
Good Lord, that's good. Yeah, good job, girl.
I'll start.
Do you use them in your practice?
Even with the eye roll. Do I use them in my practice? Yes. So I'm a dentist in New Jersey. Yeah. 0 for 2 on that one. Shocking. Yeah. I'm great at parties. You know I'm there because nobody is standing anywhere near me because they know what I do. So I use them in our practice. We like to use very uplifting oils, especially citrus. Anything citrus, whether it's citrus bloom or citrus bliss or anything like that. And then I like mixing balance in there. I don't use as much serenity because I use it at night at home. And when you use it at night at home a lot, you don't want to use that at work when you need to be focused, right? Because you don't want my drill going through your cheek. So, yeah, we use a lot of uplifting things at the office. And then during cold and flu season, a lot of On Guard. A lot of On Guard. We clean with On Guard. We use the soaps. We use all kinds of products. And then, so that's about it. I'm dominating it.
You like I'm dominating it.
My favorite oil is lemongrass. So lemongrass is always going in my diffuser. I blend it with everything, much to my husband's dismay.
Passion and motivate are my two favorites to diffuse, especially if I need that kick in the butt. So I love to diffuse elevation every day, in the morning especially. But also a little tip, we save all of our empty bottles and we'll make master blends. So we'll combine all the oils already together in the one bottle, so then it's a lot easier just to pour from one bottle. So especially for our nighttime blends, like our immune boosting blends, our sleep blends, so they're all ready to go instead of bringing up 10 oils in the diffuser. They're already all ready to go. So, little tip.
I'm gonna share mine. I'm not supposed to, but it's a good one. Okay, so you have green mandarin, wild orange, forgive, coriander. That's it. That's all you need for the rest of your life. Good. That's good. All right, Jess, you got a question?
If someone else does, they can go. I was just filling in the gap.
Well, just so you know, I think Hannah's the salesperson here because I'm giving out diffuser recipe booklets to anybody that has a question.
Start them young.
How do you find builders?
I can answer it, but
It's yours. Well, you don't really find builders. One, you lead by example, and they will come.
boom. Yes.
I mean, really, do I need to say anything else? But honestly, with finding builders, I completely agree. When you're doing the work, you're going to attract the builders. And they're going to see what you're doing and what you're putting out into the world, and they're going to be attracted to that.
I agree with that. I would also add that I try to draw builders towards me who I want to spend time with and who I adore.
I think the StrengthsFinder thing was brilliant because I find that, at least my tendency, and I know this is true for a lot of people, is that it's so easy to find the faults in other people. It's so easy to look at negatives and so easy to find faults and say, well, you're not doing X, Y, and Z. What StrengthsFinder has done for us is helped us to shift to finding the greatness in other people and looking for those qualities, consistently looking at other people and saying, I can see awesome things in you, and then speaking truth to them and saying, you know, I want to work with you because you are X, Y, and Z, and that inspires me, and I just feel so amazing when I'm around you. I want to be around you more. I think we should hang out. And let's pull business together. We'll be awesome. But I think you need to call that out in other people, and it's amazing to watch walls go up when you do that, because people do have a lot of limiting beliefs. But when you start to just take them by the hand and say, I'm serious, I see some things in you that I don't do that to other people, it's just her. Swear, just her. I'm just showing you what you could do with other people you're comfortable with. So, but to be able to sit there with somebody and say, I see something amazing in you that I don't even know if you see in yourself, can we talk more about this? And I just think that's a great way just to build relationships. This is a relationship business, flat out. So build relationships, build friendships, bring your best friends into the business.
Can I add something?
I just want to add something because Stephanie Martin is my upline and she would kill me if I didn't say this. You have to present the business every time. If you're not asking, you're not going to find them. So don't prejudge the situation. Don't go into it thinking, oh, they're never going to want to build. I know their circumstance or I know their family life or whatever it may be. If you don't ask, you will never, ever know. So present it every time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Organization. Can you give at least one tip to help us be as organized as you are, if you are?
No. Here. There we go.
I can start
Okay.
Outsource it. I married the most organized woman on the planet. I'm a hot mess. If I don't have a schedule in front of me, I'll fall off the rails. So I do a lot of, hey, what needs to be done right now, and I'm right there. Like, I can follow it, but as far as putting it together, I can't. So partner with people that do that, though, because even in your builders, you're going to find that a lot of them have strengths in general that you don't have. So collaborate and use other people, because we don't all have organization. No, at all. Yeah, we got another one. Hey, thank you. So I have one fan. Let's Instagram it. So I'll let the organized one tell you how she does it, because she's amazing.
Okay, so it's just so natural. It's really hard for me to describe what you do. I have a planner, which I found was super helpful with doing doTERRA as a business, because you have all of these thoughts in your head, but until you write them down on paper and then you follow through with them, they're just thoughts in your head. Yeah, I was going to say that next. So January of this year, I've been doing the business for 3 years, kind of 3 years, and I decided that I needed to get more organized, even though I would consider myself a very organized person. I had no CRM set up because I tried one, I didn't enjoy it, and when you don't enjoy something, you just don't do it. A CRM is a customer relations manager. It helps you to keep in relationship. This is why we work together. It helps you to keep in relationship with the people that are important to you. So like your customers, like your builders. And I worked with a brilliant woman by the name of Jenna Larson, who has her own business called Drive Your Business. There you go. And she helped me use a free platform by Google called Streak, and just enter all of the information in, and now I can keep track of my customers, what they like to order, do they come to local events, do they go to corporate events. Just any information about them is a click of a button. And so that has helped me tremendously in the last 4 months.
What was the name of the Google?
Streak.
Something else.
Streak.
Streak.
Like running
like
around
I'm
YouTube.
streaking without clothes. I'm not really. Something else that's really helpful is a Google Drive. So get a Google Drive, set it up. You can do your sheets, your forms, whatever. especially during sale time. So, you know, we all know BOGO weeks are crazy. So set up a form, make a form that you can send out to your customers so they can respond on that, and then it's all in one place. You can access it from your laptop, desktop, phone, iPad, whatever, and then you always have it at the tips of your fingers.
So kind of when I think, when you ask the question of, you know, how do we stay organized, I didn't know what to say, because honestly, that might just be your excuse. So you're like, I can't do this business because I'm not organized. So like you see, for her, she couldn't explain to you why, because it's just natural. And Monique is amazing, and she knows I'm not organized. So don't let that be your excuse. Just go out and roll, and you might not have anything to organize right now. So like fall into it, and then realize what parts do I need to organize. So that's just what I wanted to add on it.
Yeah,
I got fed a lot.
I was like, that is a straight up Delco answer. Just do it.
There's nothing to organize yet. Like,
Don't wait till you get the papers, get the people. All right, who's next? Linda.
When you do a wellness consult, what is one thing that you mainly focus on with your customer?
So when I do a wellness consult, I like to do it more like a care plan, because I'm a nurse. So I like to work with them and go down to their level, because we get really excited when you do wellness consults, because you know so much, and you have to remember, how long have you been doing this? You don't need to dump that all on them in the 30 minutes or an hour that you're there with them. You want to tell them it's okay, you're overwhelmed and confused. Let's pick 2 things or even 3 things that we're going to talk about, use oils for, and be open to. If you don't know what they are or what you use for it, show them how you look it up in a book. And that's what you're teaching them. Remember, you're empowering them to take care of themselves. So that's what I always focus on.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to the way Tina does it. But one thing I always focus on is LOB. They don't ever get away from me without me talking about that, because at the foundation, that's what they need. So we talk about that, and then usually I give them 2, like, okay, tell me 2 ailments that you want to focus on. Because if you talk about more than that, they're going to be super overwhelmed. And the goal of the wellness consult is just to help them understand and get their LRP set up. So to do that, start small baby steps and then work your way up.
So mine, I don't do the same thing at every single overview. I mean, I do basic stuff, but I focus on them and just building a relationship with them, getting them to trust me more, and getting them plugged into resources, and just leading them.
Ditto. No. Yeah, I think that focusing on them, and for some people, like, I have no different personality types to do this. So you have to know how to dialogue and how to draw out. There's some people that are like, I'm healthy. What are your health goals? Stay healthy. And like, what does that mean? Like, do you have any struggles? No. It's like, oh. So you have to know how to draw it out of people. What are your struggles? And just get a list. Have a list of theirs so that they can pick from it. You know, are you struggling? Because a lot of people think they're really healthy, but they don't sleep well. They might sleep 2 hours a night. Or they get headaches, but it's not that big a deal. I mean, I can totally live with it. It's been that way forever. Or, you know, I've just had diarrhea my whole life, so we were not going to get through a day without talking about diarrhea. I'm sorry. We're talking oils here. We can change lives. So anyway, you have to help people dig into their own health so that they understand themselves better, because a lot of people are not used to doing this, especially, starts with a W, women? Yeah, women, got it, somebody said it, okay. So women, especially moms, because they're so focused on kids and husband and taking everything together, like, I don't have time for me. It's like, well, you're gonna have time for me now, okay? It's because we're gonna focus on you. So you need to help them to do that, to help them to dig into themselves and see where they have struggles, or into their family life. What is your family life like? Who is struggling in your family? Who can you help? Because that makes a big connection. When you can touch somebody that wants to help somebody else, and they're like, oh man, well, let me tell you about my husband. And let's make a list of 15 things we'll fix right now. Or their kids. Oh, my kids are a mess, so we need to do but find their point of entry, work at their point of entry, and then get all the rest. But find, like I said, 2 or 3 points. Might not be them, might be a family member, but probe, and again, just build that trust, build that relationship, and then it'll grow from there.
Great. That's good. All right, who's up next?
Hi, so to follow up on that, I try to get my customers to be their own advocate and to, you know, once we get those goals and everything set up. But being a nurse too, I also have a tendency to do a lot for them. So once I do you have any tips to steer them into being there, like, you know, standing on their own? You know, because I still want to be there for them to call, you know, call me and say, hey, what kind of oil do I use for this? But what I get a lot is, I didn't get this when I ordered it. I didn't get, and I end up making all these calls to customer service, which is not the kind of advocate I want to be. You know, I want them to be able to do that. I want to be their healthcare kind of helper. And a lot of my time is tied up fixing like these little things, and I get very frustrated and. You know.
That's a good question. It's a valid point.
That's an excellent question. So, this is a medicine problem. We tend to be very paternalistic, and we want to do for people, which is awesome. That's why most of us got in there. We want to help people. That's what we want to do. The awesomest thing about this business and what drew me to this business was that you get to help people help themselves. Like, you need to pass, like, they want to give you the power. They want to say, here, fix me. Because that's what we do with our doctors. We walk in with our list of problems and we say, here, fix me. That's not what we do. We help you to fix yourself, because when you take the ownership of your health and the responsibility to take care of it, you will do better than any provider could ever do for you. And I learned this from dentistry, because I can fix teeth all day long, and if you don't floss, I'm calling every single one of you out right now. It's getting ugly. It's getting real. And if we see ugly tears, it's okay. So if you don't floss every day and you're not brushing your teeth the way you should, you are not going to be keeping your teeth. They're not going to be healthy. I can't fix your teeth. I can help your teeth get healthier, but I can't fix your teeth, and I can't make your teeth last forever. You can. You can keep your teeth healthy. You can keep your teeth as long as you want to if you're willing to put the work in and do it. So it's about 5% me and about 95% you. So as doTERRA representatives, we can be that 5%, but the 95% needs to be them. So you need to help them flip that mindset of, I need to own this. So it's a training process, and that's probably one of the hardest things we do, is get them to own their own health issues and take responsibility for it.
So this might sound kind of mean, but it's going to get to a point where you have to decide if they want to be empowered, and if they don't want to be empowered to take care of themselves, you know, then you can use the verbiage of, you know, to respect my time. I can only do so much to help you. Or I have people that if they don't understand how to use the products, I'll say, well, what products do you have? And spend one day per product and just read in the, you know, in the Essential Life book or whatever book you're going to use. But you've got to teach them how to be empowered on their own. Because if they're not going to learn that, honestly, they're never going to change their mindset, ever. And no matter what you do, you're only hurting yourself, because you're putting all the pressure on yourself.
Yeah, just going along with that too, if you walk them, you do it like you were just mentioning, do it with them the first time. So show them, okay, we're going to look at this resource together, this is how you find it. Or if it's like a text message, say, I'm going to look in this, you look in that book, let's come back together and see what we found. I always just, you know, again, I'm just like, just do it, you can't do it wrong. Or as well with the customer service stuff, if you just teach people how to do it the first couple of times, then they learn. And sometimes you just need to handhold people and do that. So like, let's get on Zoom together and I'll show you where the live chat button is, and this is how you can live chat them and work with them. So just kind of walking them and doing it together the first couple of times.
All right, who's next? Oh, good. Look at that. Y'all decide to wake up. That's nice. I like it. Oh, that's it. That's you, Steve.
Who's first?
Who's on first?
This is like really specific, not necessarily about the business, but because you're a nurse. I really struggle, and I'm trying to find the answer to the difference between the two Zendegrins. I know the one is out of stock, the complex. I have a liver disease, so I was taking that every day. Now I can't. But I also read on the bottle for the soft gel, it says, you know, people use it for like 10 days for a cleanse. However, you may take it every day. So I'm really confused as to which one, even when the complex comes back in, that would be better for me.
Sorry.
Mandy?
The boy So he's like, I don't know.
Well, you know, I have a really good live video on it, but that was when I was doing the cleanse, but I know the difference. So the way I think it is that the complex is the white bottle, right? Okay, so the soft gel is the brown bottle, your visual.
Which is the oil.
Yeah, so the complex makes, so when you're going through a detox, or detoxive organs are like your gut, your liver, your kidney, are all a part of it. So the complex works on everything, gets it all ready to go, and then the soft gels makes it happen.
So which should you take on? I have a liver disease, it's not gonna go away. So what should
So I would do the soft gels every day
The soft gel.
to support that detoxifying process, because your liver is probably not
Okay,
doing
so I
it.
was doing the opposite. I had that I had myself so confused with it. And I'm like, okay, she's a nurse, let me ask her.
So I take them every day. So
Okay, well, thank you.
that helps me feel better.
Okay,
I'm still here.
thank you.
We're good.
Anyone else want to add to that?
So I have a question. How do you get to that point of getting the people to sign up or to go to you, not only as a wellness advocate right there, because you don't want to throw that at first, but how do you get to that point of getting them to get the oils? Like, what is like a tip or a sentence or a phrase that you use that can be catchy for them, that they say, oh yeah, that's what it is, aha moment?
When you figure it out, can you let me know? Honestly though, there's not one magic sentence. There isn't one thing you're gonna say to them, because every single person is gonna be different. And their need for the product is going to be different. So getting to know them on a personal level is gonna be huge. Are you talking like strangers or people you know?
People you know and using one-on-one.
Okay, so definitely building that relationship with them, what they need, showing them the value in the product. You know, sometimes they'll look at it and be like, oh, well, it's costly, right? But you're doing X, Y, and Z that cost you that much more. And being on a personal level with them, as far as outside of your circle, if it's, you know, you're looking to increase social media or something like that, it's gonna be what you're doing. So when you're at events and you're taking pictures, today you're here, you're being fulfilled, your cup's being filled up, that sort of thing, when you are showing people how your life is being changed, they're gonna want their life to be changed. And that opens the door for you to tell them anything you want.
So I can hold it for you.
See why I love this man? So I was gonna say, you have to ask for the sale. You have to, you know, are you talking about once you meet with them and then how you get them to actually purchase the product? Okay, so in my opinion, after you show them the value of the products and that they resonate with the products, then you ask for the sale, and then it's their decision.
That was brilliant. I would also say speak with confidence. Like, we have the best thing in the world, and we do.
What do you call it?
We have the cookie. Have you heard that one? We have the cookie? Everybody wants a cookie, right? We have the cookie. So we have what people want, and when we believe that, and it's one thing to know it, but to really believe it, no, I can help everybody. I can help everybody with what I have. And I really would like them to get it. They're not all gonna get it, but we can speak confidently to say, yes, this will help you and this will change your life. Because that's what they want to know. They're coming to you and they're like, I really hope this helps. Well, yeah, it'll help you. We have to find the right thing to help you, because everybody's body is different and we'll process these things differently. But we have what helps everybody. So speak confidently. They just want to know that you're confident enough, because if you waver at all, blood in the water. You're done. Like if you're like, well, I think it might be great for you because it worked for me. You know, like they're not gonna buy. You have to be confident and just come to them and say, this is what you need. This will change your life. You're welcome. Just do it. Because you will not be sad that you did this, I can guarantee you that. And doTERRA is such a solid company, they will stand behind everything that they sell. So.
So what are some ways that you effectively support your leaders, your builders? What are some ways that you do that?
So I guess just being with your team, spending time. We have a call every Monday night. I always show up, whether one person can get on, two people can get on, the whole team gets on. It's recorded, but they constantly know that I'm there every Monday night to show up for them. And I'm here to help them grow their business. So I think just constantly showing love on them, praising them, and not only for ranks or enrollments, but when they did something that was really hard or really out of their comfort zone, like maybe going to this event is really hard because they had to get 6 different babysitters and the husband's yelling at them, but they were still here. Or even if they just got here for an hour, it's just constantly loving on them because it's a hard journey.
We were actually just having this conversation earlier. Don't put them in your box. We all have a box of how we think it's going to go, how we're running our business, how we're teaching our classes, how we're doing our follow-ups. Don't put them in that box. Figure out what they need to feel supported. That's one of the absolute biggest things. And know them. Really know them. Know that, okay, I can't call her right now because she's working a full-time job. I can't call her at 12 o'clock during the day. Or really know them, and that's going to make the world a difference. Because if you, and honestly guys, keep an eye on their social media. Like that's huge. Scroll through Facebook, and if there's a little post that maybe seems like they're down about something, reach out to them. Hey girl, I saw this, and I want you to know I'm here, so what do you need? Because that will then overflow into your business, and it will mean the world to them.
So I pray for my leaders, and I show up, and I'm a servant leader is basically what I try to do. It's my job to show up. It's their job whether they decide to show up.
And use tools. Use tools like StrengthsFinder and do this with your people. It keeps coming up as a theme, doesn't it? Okay. Because that helps you to understand them better, and they are going to build differently than you did. Because we're as different as our fingerprints. So find out what their greatness is, and then you encourage them in that, even though it's not your strength. You find out how to encourage them in their own strengths and help them to grow the way that they are supposed to grow. And it may look a lot differently than the way you did it. And that's okay. That's what makes this business beautiful. So.
So I actually have 2, but I'm going to ask the one that's maybe more general for everyone. So can you tell about a time when maybe you were really discouraged with your business, you felt like you were just kept hitting a brick wall? And I know we had a lot of it this morning, but I feel like you need a little bit more. But just where it's just, I don't know, you feel like you just would rather just almost crawl under the bed instead of getting out and facing the day?
Yep. So yeah, we have an interesting doTERRA journey because we're basically like an orphan team. We don't qualify anybody. Our upline Diamond pretty much quit the business. She collects the checks but doesn't show up in anything.
You're on live stream.
But she's wonderful. Hi. Is it hot in here? Anybody? Just me. So, we don't have the most support. I thought compliance was hard. This is way harder. Okay, so we are not connected to a really active doTERRA family that is building and supporting and training. Can your editing friend work on that? Done. Totally toast. Okay. I loved my time in doTERRA, and apparently we're done. So.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn my chair around.
So a time that I wanted to quit was actually a week and a half ago because I enrolled a new customer who I was super excited about. She had MS, and I did so much research, like hours upon hours upon hours of research to try and help her. And I had a really great plan, and I said, you know, your best option is the Diamond Kit. However, here's an alternative. And she chose the alternative, and then she was upset that she didn't have the products that she needed. So I said, it's okay, we're gonna add them to your LRP, you're gonna get them next month. And she just got really upset with everything, and she was very anti-doTERRA, which hurts my heart because I'm so pro-doTERRA. In fact, whenever something comes out on the social media about how terrible essential oils are, or how terrible a company is, I'm like, I don't even believe it, because I 100% believe in doTERRA. It doesn't even faze me, it doesn't even go through my head like, did they really do this, or is this true? I just 100% believe in the company. But I will say, it hurt my heart that that woman was not helped. And I hope that she keeps her oils and that she returns to the journey, but that's her decision.
You need to know your purpose and your why. Because on those hard days, if you don't know those things, nothing will drag you out of that. You have to be able to, those moments when you don't want to reach out to that customer that's upset. You don't want to host that class. You don't want to call that leader. If your why and why you're doing this isn't strong enough, you won't do it. You have to know that in your heart, in the deepest depths of your soul, why you're doing this. I'm going to get out of bed today because I don't want my husband to have to work so hard. I'm going to get out of bed today because I want to show my daughter that that's what you do. And that's what's going to get you through that hard moment.
So I guess I could share a story of kind of the very beginning when I started doTERRA. I don't even know if I was an elite, and Jess is my upline. And I was somewhere talking to someone, and I just started using oils, but I was, I'm not going to talk about them in front of people. I'm not going to use them. I don't want anybody to know in that stage. And then I grew this relationship with this person, and randomly we got started talking, and she makes jewelry and bracelets as well as with the other things that she was doing. And she said, yeah, I just got into oils. And so I called up doTERRA and I asked them, like, how do I get started on oils? And I was like, what? Like, she just randomly called corporate and like, oh, we'll help you get started. So she got started with someone because I didn't speak up saying that I used oils and since I knew, I said, well, I actually do doTERRA and I sell oils. She's like, oh, I would love to work with you. But she had already enrolled. So I had to, Josh was like, oh, well, just call and ask for her enrollment. I'm like, I had to call someone that was, I think, like platinum at the time and be like, I know this person, can I have their enrollment? And, it was, no, like, they're already started with me. So I was like, that's fine. And then that person that I didn't enroll was then at leadership in a couple months. So she was then silver rank. And I'm sitting there like, just because you didn't open your mouth. So never not open your mouth and share the oils. You never know, one, whose life you're going to change, or if they'll be the next leader on your team.
Okay, so I'm going to ask just one quick question, even though I know we're pressing. So I'm going to ask you the question, the last question that I ask every person when I do Digging with Diamonds, which is, if you could go back to the day that you started, what would you tell yourself?
Full of trust in the process and lean in.
Have faith. No matter what happens, have faith that you're in this business for a reason and that there's a purpose. Always.
Buy the Diamond Kit and go all in.
Run into it. Just run into it. It's a momentum business, and when you are passionate about something, you should just pour yourself into it. I mean, just everything that you have. But get everybody on board. Talk to your family about what you're passionate about. Make sure that your spouse is on board. make sure everybody knows what you're doing, make sure your kids understand what you're doing because you're modeling behavior for them. It's a lot of hard work and sacrifice, but modeling that is important too. But yeah, from the get-go, just pour everything you have into the business, and it'll, that overflows to other people too. They see what you're doing.
That's it. Thank you guys.
I just wanted to say thank you for the panelists. So I wanted to give you guys something special from New Hampshire. So this is New Hampshire maple syrup. So this is not your typical maple syrup. This company, there's people that we work with, they do the trees and they do it completely different. But I'm giving you some extra candy so that you can go watch the playback and be not so sad about it. You're the candy. You get the candy. Oh, I get the candy. You're giving the dentist candy? The dentist. Thank you. This is straight from the maple tree, though. You want these chairs?
I got my own, look. Oh, 3 at once. So, alright, hold on, I'm gonna hold it, there, okay.
So the next person that's coming up, it's very serendipitous how I even met her. I was looking for an additional leader here because some things had happened. When you do events, people come in, they come out, it happens. And Steve kept saying, Tamara, we need one more. And this was, daily at some point. It got to the point that I was like, I'm not taking that call, I'm not taking that call. I'm in session. I'm in session. Sunday afternoon, I know you're not. And all of a sudden one night, I literally was like, come on. And I promise you that within minutes, you ever see where Facebook says recommended friends? And I see Carmen. And I was like, it said presidential. Oh, you're good, baby. I was like, it's me again. And I looked down and it said, I've never seen her before. And then I hit it, and she lived in Jersey. And I was like, what? What? So immediately I did what I do best, which is stalk. And I was like, I'm gonna friend her, let's wait 20 minutes, and then send the thing. And this remarkable woman, and what you're about to hear is incredible because yes, she is presidential, but your story.
We messed up.
Okay. She's presidential. Just don't look away. Just look away. Do not let your eyes behold it. I'm not taking her rank. She's straight up presidential, and she's going to talk to you today about resiliency. And the reason she has that is because, in my opinion, I've coached a lot of people. You want to know what makes presidentials? This. Resiliency. That they're masters of it. So welcome, Carmen Bush.
Do you guys hear me okay? Yeah. So I think between all the speakers, you got everything. You got the, I think she invited me for my sexy accent to be on her. She's not telling me that. I like to take the people in when I speak at events because it makes it about you, not about me then. So I just like to look around and see you for a little bit. Thank you so much for coming. Is this gonna be okay like this? So shall I take that one? I can take that one.
I think that one works better. I just don't know if that
This one works better?
Is that one normally works better? Yours is off.
So I was gonna say to you guys, I can actually project. I used to be I tried everything. I used to be a singer, I recorded an album too, I kid you not. Many things like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, if this lady can convince you that if they can, you can, then I will. Like, I'm just about the most regular next door girl that's very, very stubborn. So if I can teach you to be that today, if I can not teach you, like just really kick you a little bit and convince you that that's all you need. I'm from Romania, so in Romania we kick. Soccer is our game. Okay, do not ask me the difference between baseball and basketball. I have no idea what it's called. So we kick, and we are upfront, straightforward. So you'll forgive me for that today, okay? To answer your question, what is his name? Yeah, I wanted to quit this business about 3 days ago. So let me tell you that story because almost 3 days ago I'm gonna call her Tamara with a Romanian accent. She says like that. I called her bawling, saying that I'm in this space that I don't even recognize. I don't know what it's called. I think some people call it depression, the dip, whatever. I don't know how I got myself here. And I said, I'm not saying I'm not coming, but I haven't even started looking in the dictionary about what resiliency is. Like, I don't know what the word means. So I got on the phone with her. Prior to that, I had a few very hard weeks, but I pushed through. That's what resilience, you'll see. I pushed through until I just stretched myself a little bit, and I got to the point where I hit rock bottom a few days ago. And I didn't want to do this topic because I realized this is going to be so hard for me to speak on. I'm okay, I'm not going to cry, I promise. Although 3 days ago, I didn't think that I could stand in front of you and deliver this message. So I talked to Tamara. She said, listen, if you decide not to do it, I will never think anything less of you. Between Mandy and I, where's Mandy? Between Mandy and I, will cover it. Actually, they did. I'm not going to tell you anything new, to be honest. But she prayed for me. Tamara and I share faith, and she prayed for me. And after that, you'll see it from my teaching too, because out of this experience that I've been going through, this teaching came about. I've never taught on resiliency before. I teach on vision. My top strengths are futuristic and belief. And I can teach about that for months. But this topic I never taught about, and it's one of those things that I'm so naturally, life has made me so naturally good at, that I just didn't even think to stop what it means. So let's see. So I looked it up in the dictionary. That's what the dictionary says. I have my notes here only because I get so excited when I talk to people, and I just have to stay on track. Okay, so you guys forgive me for this. But yeah, this is what the dictionary says. However, I like another the definition a little bit better, and that is by that lady over there, Tamara. So she says, I don't believe that. I don't believe you're supposed to bounce back. You're supposed to have that ability to rise and learn from what took you down, to make sure you're never going down for the same reason again. How brilliant is that? Mm-hmm. Who needs a dictionary? And she said, go back. It's deciding not to give up, but to get up. And I'm here to tell you that life will throw curveballs at you. That is guaranteed, right? Part of your life is what you make of it, and I'm a planner. I'm a huge planner. You'll see that that's my top strength in my team. The part is the unpredictable. And that is the part you cannot control. I always tell my team, you have to learn to control the controllables and then learn to control your reaction to the rest. And usually it's about 50-50, you guys. Do you realize your day is about 50% how you plan? And this is not me, this is statistics. So just expect those balls coming at you and expect to learn to rise. And that's what I'm hoping to give you a few tips on. My name is Carmen Bush, like I said, and I'm coming from the tip. I'm just rising up again right now. I'm rising up right now. And I really hope to serve you guys today. Okay? I've been married for 19 years with my husband. He's actually American. He's from New Jersey, and I'm from Romania. I grew up, lived all my life there until 5 years ago, we moved to the States, and we have 4 beautiful children. I forgot to put the picture up there, sorry. I'm not a bad mom, I promise. I love this photo. I just love this photo because there's always redemption. You know, at the end of a hard time, there is this. And I just remember a few years ago, I was traveling in the car with a woman that I very much appreciated. And she asked me, Carmen, you always seem like the kind of person that just always gets herself up. How do you do that? And I didn't even think about it. I said, I just kind of became comfortable with having my face in the dirt and learned that the only way to continue is to just dust myself off, get up. At the time, I wasn't as smart as Tamara to say, just look there, see what brought you down, but now I know. But that's pretty much what it is. You just have to get comfortable, guys, with discomfort, with pain. And know that discomfort is going to come anyway. Make sure it just takes you in the right direction. So make sure that talking about doing the next right thing. Discomfort is going to come. Pain is going to come. Don't expect. I had no reason to be down. No reason. My business is doing okay. You know, I'm the first presidential diamond in all Central Europe. You know, and in a country where the price of a home essential is the salary for a month. I'm going to tell you that story in a little bit. Because when I went over there, I was told, you cannot do this. What you're talking about is nonsense. But yeah, just get comfortable, with failure and pain. I'm lost. I'm not talking about real loss now here. I'm not talking about tragedy and, you know, losing somebody you love. That's a different process. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about those, you know, curveballs, that we call them. That was why I had to look it up. Just get comfortable with those and just know they're gonna come. I'm just gonna give you a few situations in my life that I really, really learned to let the pain teach me. When I was a little girl, I watched my mom always looking for the next guy to save her. I grew up in the communist Romania until I was about 11. We were pretty poor. And my mom went from relationship to relationship while she was married to the man that I thought was my dad, that I later found out that wasn't my dad. And I watched her just waiting for the next guy to save her. And I remember one day as a little girl, I don't even remember, I think I don't even know if I was in, if I was in school, but I remember saying I will never live this way. And I just kind of put my heels in the ground, just saying, I will do whatever it takes for my life to look different. That I'm the architect of my own life and never depend on anyone. Then I remember when I was about 11 and the revolution broke in Eastern Europe. Do you guys remember that? The Berlin Wall. And people were going out in the streets. I was with them. I was, all the kids was chaotic. Nobody organized us. And we didn't know it. We didn't have organization in Romania. We were under the communism, which was under fear most of the time. Fear and control was what we lived in every day. So we didn't know how to organize ourselves. We didn't have leaders. We didn't have a voice. We all got out of the streets, cutting the flag. And I remember I was so excited. I had no fear. I was just so excited because I thought that would mean for us or experience new things. But then I remember this something that frustrated me as a little girl. And it was this big man, big strong man, who would say, well, what are the Americans now? Because they said they're going to help us. And I remember I was always like very tiny. Like I was the skinniest, tiniest one in class. Like the one that always got in the front, the line. And I remember putting my hands like this and I said, why do you need Americans to help you? You're a strong man with 2 legs and I said, I will never need an American to save me. Did I tell you my husband is American? And then I remember later on when my mom, my parents went through divorce, many things, many hard things. My life was very, very hard. But I remember when I went into medical school, and I worked really, really hard, you guys, to get into medical school. I'm a doctor, I forgot to tell you that too. To get into the medical school in Romania, you had to study for 3 or 4 years. You had to have a tutor, you had to take this exam. It was very, very hard. Like you had to know things you would never use ever in life. But you had to chemistry and physics and biology to the point where you were a PhD. I kid you not. So I had no money to take lessons and all that. So I worked really hard. When I finished 9th grade, I started studying to get to medical school. And I got them on the first ones with no tutor. And I remember my mom, now what do we do? We can't train, we have no money. So she dropped me. So we went by train to the city, it was about 5 hours by train, 3.5 hours by car now. She dropped me off to this dormitory with 3 roommates, no food, no money, left. Now I have to tell you that in Romania, the medical school, I don't know how it's here, so I'm not comparing, I'm just saying, you went to school about 12 or 14 or 16 hours a day. Like it wasn't like in periods. And you could not find a part-time job at the time. There was no such thing. There was no entrepreneurial spirit. So I never felt a deeper sense of abandonment. I just turned 18, I guess. I knew I had smarts, but I had nothing else. So I had to turn around and ask food and money from strangers. That's what I had to do. I'd say, would you lend me some money until next time I can pay you? So then in Romania there was another thing where if you studied well enough, the school gave you some money. So I said, well, that I have. So I had to study so hard, not only because I liked to study and stay in the medical school, but because I had to eat the second day. And sometimes there's been 3 days in a row when I had to have split a potato in 3 so I can have food for the 3 days. I know, hard. Then I remember my mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was in about 10th grade, maybe. And at this point, parents were divorced. She was living with a guy, but I'm sure the guy wasn't gonna, this was the 3rd father that we had. And when the doctor I went with her to the doctor, and he said she's dying. She has about 6 months. Please just start thinking about her burial place. He told me that because I said, I'm a big girl. I'm going to be a doctor one day. You can tell me. There was nobody else who could go and talk to the doctor except me. And I remembered, this is probably one of the things that really turned my life. I didn't know anything about God, but I said, if there is something that's true, it's the only thing that I know right now to turn. Just like I turned to my brain when I was in medical school and I had to study from food. So I cried big tears that night, and I said to God, well, if she dies, we're going to end up orphans, and I really don't know how to take care of myself and my 2 sisters. I had an older sister and a younger sister, but I was just more. So I said to God, if you're real, you'll heal my mom. I mean, nobody expected that. Nobody would have even tried that because she was terminal. We took her to the best. I cannot tell you the details of how we got into this hospital. It's the best oncology hospital in Romania. The doctor there too told me she has no chance, but we'll try since we got here. She's now alive, you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so many stories. So I know hard stuff. What I had to learn, and being in the middle of it, is what I decided a few days ago after I talked with Tamara. That was the hardest day, and then the next day was just as hard. It was to the point that I cried all day. And I don't know what that was. I just cried all day. I couldn't enjoy anything. I couldn't enjoy my kids. I couldn't enjoy my husband. I couldn't enjoy the food. I didn't eat for 2 days. I told my husband, take me out for a date. Maybe that's gonna do something. I cried on my way on the way to the date. Cried during the date. Cried all the way home. Now my kids are worried. Like, mom is depressed. I don't know what this is. But then I said this. That night I went to bed and I said, listen, I need to remember how I've dealt with situations like this in the past. And I said, this is as hard as you can get. And I want you to hear this, because this is where people make a decision. Some people decide to resign, to check out. And I said, I don't think I can suffer more. This was 3 days ago, you guys. I don't think I can suffer more than this. Okay, so I paid my dues. Now I'm going to rise. And I just decided, you know what I did? This is not even my teaching, my notes. Oh my gosh, I didn't even get through it. I made a list, you guys, and I made a list of all the things that I knew were good for me to do. I don't feel like going out with my friends. Hey friends, I need you to take me out for a glass of wine. I don't feel like praying. Hey Tamara, can you pray for me? I don't feel like dating my husband. Honey, can you take me out for a date? I'm gonna cry all the way there, but can you please take me out for a date? So I just made a list of all the things that I knew that are good for me to do, and I did them no matter how I felt. And this for me is resiliency. When you just decide to show up for your life and to be the architect of your life. I'm sure there's gonna be a slide about this. Yeah. If you develop resiliency, and this is all up to you, it's a skill that you learn by living in the hard, and there's no other option. You cannot check out. If you check out, you'll go there again. You'll go there again. You need to get in there. And the hardest thing that the most people don't do is they don't have the courage to look. When you're in the deep, you don't want to look. You're unresigned. So I had to look to see how I might have contributed to this. What was my part? What can I learn from this? And revisit all the hard things. Just stay with them for a while, but then decide to tell them, thank you very much. I think I've learned my lessons. I have respect for you. Pain, discomfort, whatever it may be. You don't feel like doing your business, fine. You know what? Most of us don't. Most days. Most presentations. And by the way, I love my business. But there's days when, and there's activities that I don't want to do every day. I'm tired of doing wellness consults. I'm so tired of them. Aren't you? But if you don't learn, it's essential for you to be happy in your life. Because when you learn to deal with stuff in your life, you'll know how to deal with it in your business. When the tide rises, all ships rise. So you have to know that these are all life skills that will teach you, will help you in your marriage, in your relationships, and everything. It's like riding in a car with, I found this online because I didn't even know the shock absorbance. But that's what I was like, without resilience, you just always keep going back to the place of pain because you've never learned how to deal with that. And then I believe it takes courage. I think you had already a topic about courage, so yeah, I missed it, I'm so sorry. That's also Tamara, right? I think the first line. Standing in the place you're falling and learning from it. You know, just really just taking a good look. You know, how did I get myself here? What did I do? Remember, you cannot control the uncontrollables. You cannot control what life served you, what people may have done for you. In fact, I will tell you, never ever become bitter and always forgive and give the benefit of the doubt. Because you know what? Bitterness is one of the hardest things to heal. When that grabs your heart, it's going to take you years. So don't just say, they didn't know what they were doing or whatever. Like I had to learn, I was sexually abused too by one of my mom's lovers. And I was abused physically by one of my mom's husbands, like physically beat up. And I remember the time when I had to forgive them. Nobody had taught me about bitterness and forgiveness until this point. Then I met with God and He told me to forgive. And the way that I learned how to do it, I looked at them and I looked at them as the victim. How can they live with themselves? Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them. Because I'm in this place where I can release them. I can release them because it's good for me, but how can they? So just learn to see yourself as a victor. You know, if you survive this, you'll survive everything. And that's another thing that I'm gonna tell you about resiliency is just looking at the bumps in the road as launch pads. Most people look at them as roadblocks. You can choose how to think about things, you guys, and that will determine the outcome of your actions. Brokenness. I love this. Somebody said about servant leadership. I totally know from my life. I'm 40. I know that there is no way to lead without brokenness. There's no way to influence without brokenness. Hurt people hurt, so you can lead without brokenness, but make sure that you've dealt with yourself because you will lead from how you are. Brokenness is necessary, and I'm going to read in the notes because this is an art. This is a Japanese art. I forgot that I don't speak Japanese. I speak some languages. It's called the art of kintsugi. It's called golden joinery. I actually wanted to read it to you guys. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Probably really bad, right, Tamara? Okay. So I have to read this to you. The story of kintsugi is said to have begun in the 15th century when Japanese military commander, I don't know how to pronounce his name, broke one of his beloved Chinese tea bowls, and disappointed with the bad repair job that he was treated to, he urged the Japanese craftsmen to come up with a more pleasing method of repair. Thus, the art of kintsugi was born. Collectors soon became so enamored with the new art that some were accused of deliberately smashing valuable pottery so it could be repaired with the golden seams of kintsugi. What they did, actually, they took a special glue and they mixed in it silver, gold, or platinum. And I believe that when you allow hard times to move you forward, you know, when you've dealt with yourself, you're reconciled, and you let that to be redeemed, those places of brokenness are the most beautiful and stronger parts of your heart and of your life. Because out of those places, guess what? You'll be able to show up in front of people and teach them how to then rise too. Don't be afraid of, you know, it's also in my notes, and I don't know on which slide, because I did this 2 days ago and I asked my assistant to make the slides. I wrote the text and I said, can you put in the slides, make it pretty. Go back a little bit because I wasn't done with that. I tell my team all the time, many people make it to success and they just as quickly fall. If you don't have brokenness and if you don't decide to deal with things with humility, it's very hard to stand successfully with integrity. And that for me is very important. I don't want to stay presidential. I want to stay here with integrity and change as many lives as I can. And I think that is the case of all blues and presidentials that I've met. They all got in a place where they realized this is so not about me now. Now I understand. This is just about empowering all these lives. And if you guys want that, know that it's going to come with brokenness. Okay. Now this is the how-to. This was hard for me, guys, because it's one of those, like I've learned. I had to learn because otherwise I would have been dead if I didn't learn to survive. But how I did it, I was like, okay, what did I do? And I made this. My beautiful sister made it. I don't know how to make stuff like that. I pay her for that. I just told her, there's a lot of steps. Make it look pretty. The first one is changing mindset. And for me, this is huge. This is my specialty. If I could become a life coach, I'll be a mindset coach because my Romanians need me to become my mindset coach for them. And something that I naturally was always good at was to take failure off the table. You guys, it took me 1.5 years to get the premiere. Okay, I wanted to quit, and it took me about 1.5 years to make enough money to justify my orders. Right? At the point where we were $30,000 in debt from being missionaries, and my husband was looking everywhere. What other projects? He's an architect, but he started by repairing people's basements and bathrooms to make some money so we can survive. And I was struggling to make it to Elite and Premier because the price of a kit in Romania was the salary, and because, and now I see it, I didn't see it then, we were doing all the right things. But people needed between 5 and 12 touches. They never heard about essential oils. So I had to first explain, we pioneered in Romania, my team did. First explain to them what they were and then teach, and they're really convinced that it's worth the investment. And then they had to wait, I have to wait now 6 months to get the money. I'm gonna save, about 1/5 of them this month and every month. So 1.5 years later, enough seeds have been planted that we got to, it was about 1 year and 2 months when I hit Elite, and I thought that was my golden ticket. I thought Elite is the thing. I never saw past silver as a Romanian. I just thought silver is my rank. If I hit silver, it's good. So I teach my team now, dream big and take baby steps. Dream as big as you can, but this was about, sorry, told you this is about resilience. Take failure off the table. That is the only way. When I saw that I wasn't going anywhere with my ranks and my team was growing, we weren't making any money. We decided that, at this point we have a community, and at this point my responsibility is to shepherd them. So it's not gonna become about my success, about my rank. It's just we're gonna just do the next right thing until what's supposed to happen is gonna happen. And then after I hit Premier, about 5 months later I was Diamond, another year later I was Blue Diamond, and a few months later I was Presidential Diamond. Just because now enough seeds have been planted by everybody else. Give yourself time, guys. Take resignation off the table. I see this and I tell my team all the time, and I'm going to tell you, if you don't quit, you will succeed in doTERRA. But you need to draw that line in the sand. I made my team in the last, I just came back from Romania 5 weeks ago, and I made them literally make a line in the carpet with their foot and step forward. Say, okay, now you have just decided to never quit. And I'll teach you how to get to success if you stick with me. But it's gonna be hard work. Did you see that? See the broken vessel? So just instead of the victim, I already said that to you, instead of the victim, think of them as a victor. If whatever hard situation you're in, if you survive that, you can survive anything. And then think too, I want you to remember this too shall pass. Everybody and anyone and everyone has been through a hard time and will tell you, yeah, you passed. It might take longer than most people. You don't know, right? You don't know. I didn't know that I was gonna stand here and be happy today. I ate a burger. Hey, guys, I didn't eat in 2 months. Oh man, turkey burger. Looking pretty bad. Change perspective. So many times the battle is in our head. Do you guys agree with that? Yes. Take a step back. Take a breather. Get some perspective. Most of the times, the thing that you're most afraid of is not going to happen, and if it does, it's not that bad. We all think. I was at a retreat, Blue and Presidential retreat in Hawaii in January, when the leadership made all the Blue and Presidential stand up. If they had to rebuild 1, 2, or 3 legs, most of them got up for 3. They're like, I don't know what happened to me. Never what happened to me. And then somebody said, just wait. It's just a matter of time. What do you think I've been doing since January until now? Rebuilding 2 legs. Because you know what, you guys? I took those people, so I invited them to go to me to Presidential. And they got to silver quick. And then they realized, man, this is work. I'm tired. And I had to rebuild. Yeah. I was still maintaining Blue consistently, but rebuilding to Presidential since then. So it's just a matter of time. It's good. It's not that bad. At the time in January, and everybody said, just wait. They were kind of laughing at me, like the baby Presidential, because I was the baby Presidential. I just, and I was like, if that happens, I'll die. Like, what do you mean rebuild? Come on. It's most of the time it's not that bad. And then compare, I had to make a list. Compare you feel like I don't deserve this, it's true. Nobody deserves bad. But compare those under-deserved bad things that happen to you with the unearned good things that happen to you. You know, I think when I was a little girl living in Romania, you guys, I didn't even think that there's countries outside of Romania, and they didn't let us. You know, and then I did, oh, there's a country called America, people think that there's a higher species. Honestly. I would have never thought myself, you know, living here. By the way, if I had the choice, I'd be in Romania right now. Just so you guys. But God told me now it's my turn. My husband lived with me in Romania for 14 years. So he said, now it's your turn. Usually the good outweighs bad 10 to 1. You guys know that? Do the exercise now. I want you, when you go home, if you're going through a hard time, I want you to do that. You know, all the good things. You know, by living in this country, this is huge. You realize that? Do you know, I was talking to the beautiful nurse, I forget your name, I'm so sorry. The fact that you know that you have to brush your teeth and floss, that's a privilege, you guys. There's people who don't have teeth by 20. There's so many good things that we have, so many good things. Just make a list and be grateful for what you have good. This I kind of touched on, but it's really, really important to look inside. It's very important to revisit the places of pain, the places that produce most pain. Go there for a little bit. I promise it's going to be excruciating hard, depending how bad it was. Some will be really, really hard to revisit, but that's the only way to redeem. Just go there, look at the situation, look at the circumstances, look at the people, forgive. Forgive and decide, that's going to be a launch pad, not a stumbling block, because most people get stuck in their business too because of those lies they believed. And it's also fear and scarcity. You know, and I always say to my team, fear is just an irrational liar. They say to me, I'm afraid to call so and so. Do you know what the antidote to that is? Call them. And then tell me how it was. And most times it wasn't bad at all. See? It's going to get easier every single time you do it. Taking massive action towards your healing, towards your next step in the business, towards your next step in healing your heart, your mind. What did she say? 1 minute? 1 hour, 1 day at a time? That's what's going to launch you. That's what's going to launch you. It's really on you, you guys. You know, if it's not on you, then it's on somebody else. And that's small play. Do you want everybody else to decide for you? You know that majority of the world, they do live on predetermined decisions for their lives. Even when it comes to health and wellness and wealth, the majority of people live on predetermined ideas of how their life should look like, or how their parenting should look like, or how we should look like. You know, just don't do that. Be the architect of your own life. Yeah, so, and then that was hard for me, make a real effort, discover how I have contributed to my misery. Me? I'm the sad one. Why are you asking me, God? Everybody else did it. Yeah, but then this will help you see that the ability to change your life lies within you rather than in external circumstances. And trust me, you don't want to live your life to external circumstances. You want to be in charge, right? And focus on your power, not your helplessness. Even if you have to tell, I'm not one that, I don't do affirmations ever, like I don't need them. But I know they work for a lot of people, right? Yeah, they work. So tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself, whatever you need to hear. I know you have your magic, because everybody does. Because I know that if I was created for a purpose in this world, so were you. You know, you were not created for nothing. So you have your magic and you have your power. And that is bigger than your helplessness. And I think I'm almost there. I don't know how much time.
You have time.
Oh, I do? I have time. Oh, thank you. I didn't even see that. Yeah, next. This, like I said, should have spread my slides. Be the architect of your own fate. There's empowerment in that. You know, I'm a mother of 4 kids. And I teach them to do the hard things. And to be honest with you, I did a little research for this topic today. And did you know that America has some of the least resilient people? Did you know that? Do you know why? Yeah. And then they're talking about helicopter parenting and sparing your kids pain. Don't spare your kids pain. Teach them how to live through pain. My daughter had a horrible experience with her best friend that one day wrote her an email saying, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Like, they were like peas in the pod. She was at my house every day, sleepovers, you know. It was weeks of her being depressed, painful, crying. And I walked with her. I sat with her as she cried. You know, I tried to teach her how can we, never ever did I allow her to blame the other person. You know, so you don't know what she's going through. You're gonna have to deal with what your heart is going through right now. And I'll do things, I take her out for a date and buy her flowers, but I told her, this pain is going to teach you, honey. She's 13 now, obviously she, you know, that was last year. She's better, but she learned. You know what she learned? She would not allow just anybody in her life. She will be very careful who she allows to tell her who she is. Many times you cannot control the circumstances, but there's almost no situation unless you're mentally, you know, how do you say that correctly in English? You know, there's situation that you're disabled, right? Mentally disabled or very, very hormonally sick, but most of the times you can control your reaction. So there's a situation, I know, you just can't, but you need to ask help for help. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking again about the curveballs. How you react to things is on you. Are you still my friends? Yeah. Thomas? Yeah. How you react to things is on you. Like I said, you decide that that aggressor is the victim. You forgive them. Not because it's easy to forgive, and not because forgiveness is a feeling, not that you know, it's because you release them and you release yourself from the grip of bitterness. And you decide you are the victor. You're going to live another day to tell another soul how to deal with that. Because there's nothing, guys, that is given to us, good or bad, that is just for us. Do you agree with that? We can change lives. We need each other. This is why I travel. I don't have anybody here in my team. My team is in Romania. I came for you guys. Actually, I came very much because I connected to Tamara's vision and heart for people. It's so easy to, right? I said, yes! and then she gave me the topic when I was going through the hardest time of my life, and I said, and I actually said to her, I said, I need you to tell me why you chose this topic for me. And she says, because I don't know anybody that's more resilient than you. I said, thanks. Let's get to work. Does it mean? I actually have I have a team of people that I mastermind with. I called it the audience of 5. I think somebody else mentioned that. Was it you? Did I teach you that in the 12-step program? Yep. That's amazing. Yeah, I learned that from self-development books. They call, you need to have 5 or 6 people that you invite into your lives to do life with you intentionally. And so I was trying, you know, as I was going through this hard time, not really knowing where to begin with this topic, we were starting, nobody knew in my team what resiliency meant. Like, oh my gosh, I guess I have to teach. No. So we had to start from scratch. And I already told you about planning things. If you don't feel like it, just do them. If you're depressed, you don't want to get out of bed, just do it. And make your bed. And say, thank you that I have a bed. Okay. Be accountable. This is the one thing that I decided to do when I was in a very low point. It was last Sunday. Today, so 6 days ago. I don't ask for help, you guys. I don't. It's one of my weaknesses. And I don't know how to ask for help. And in fact, yeah, I shouldn't go further because then it defeats the purpose of this talk. I have a very hard time asking for help. So when it was really, really hard, I wrote to 3 of my people out of the 5. One is somebody that prays with me. One is somebody that makes me laugh. One is somebody that just, we connect heart to heart so well. Just very, very good friends. And I said to them, I'm going through a hard time. When Carmen writes that, you know that she means that, because she never said this to them ever again, ever before. I said, I need my friends to take me out for a glass of wine, period. I don't feel like, period. Please make me. That's what I wrote. And then I called Tamara, and I said, I don't know what I'm calling you, and I'm not telling you anything yes or no, but I just need to tell you what I'm going through. You need to bring things in the light. So too many people, I actually read this book, I'm reading in the book, I'm reading about 5 books every time. I'm reading 5, like every time I decide to read 5 books at the same time, there's a principle about that I'm going to teach another time. So in Go Stop Apologizing, Rachel Hollis was saying that most people choke in the presence of other people. because they're so afraid to ask for help and to bring in the light. They say, I'm okay, they go to the bathroom, or they realize that they need help, it's too late, they die. Is that too direct? Yeah. Don't choke in the presence of the people around you. My husband didn't know I was depressed for 3 or 4 weeks. But you know what I did? I mean, you know what he did know? Carmen is working so hard and long hours, we don't see her anymore. Your business must really need you. That was my escape. Because if I could feel busy, I didn't have to face what was going on. So they were telling me this, but instead of telling them, yes, honey, I'm actually, I kept saying, yes, my team needs me. I was lying. But then when I decided to take it in the light, my healing began. The Sunday that I sent the text, I think it was Monday night, or even Sunday, I forget now because it's a blur. They took me out for wine. And then Tuesday, I think I talked to them. It was just all from there, you know. So people started to come around me to help me, ask for help, bring it in the light. The audience of 5, it's something that you should decide for yourself if you have a business. People who have earned to have input in your life. And make sure that you're one of those for at least 5 too. You know, when they ask you, be that kind of person, or when you say to somebody, I need help, they call you right away because they know you need it. Okay? Next one. Yeah, stay grateful. It's hard. Gratefulness is not a feeling, you guys. So again, just making an inventory and realize, you know, and actually some of the most successful people in the world will tell you they start every day with gratefulness. Did you know that our CEO, do you know how David Sterling tells us to protect ourselves from success and from whatever could happen if you get success? He says with gratefulness and humility. When I heard that from the stage, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right company. I never sold anything in my life before doTERRA. Never. I still don't know actually how I'm making money, really. But I never taught money. Like I don't understand how don't ask me about somebody else in my team does the compensation plan for my team. Because yeah, you can get the presidential without knowing the compensation plan. Oh, you didn't know that? I'm so glad I could help you today. I have my IT guy who's also my project manager. He was trying to talk to me about mine. I said, oh, just talk to my husband about it. And he's like, Hannah, I need to teach you to really want to talk about money. Like, you know, if you want to talk with businesses. Maybe I'm ready. Be thankful, you guys. When you go through hard stuff, be thankful for every victory. I remember when I started making the list, and I smiled for the first time. Like, oh, I smiled! Yay! I smiled! I smiled. You know, whatever little thing that you did right, not the next right thing. Just be thankful for it. Be thankful for the lessons and for the journey. And that's hard when you're in the lesson, when you're in the thick of it, right? But I know as I was going through it, I was thankful for it. And I'll tell you why. Because I knew from experience, from all the other times when I told you some of the hard stuff that I've been going through, I knew, remember the line in the broken vessel? I knew how much stronger I was when I came at the end of it. Now allow me to remind you, I never thought that I would stay there forever. Those thoughts were coming to me. Say, if I never get out of this, I say, fear is a liar. All those things, fear is a liar. That's fear, and that is a liar that is not true. I will rise, that is the truth, you know? So I would just keep talking to myself, and then not let myself go into to despair, to the stage where I didn't want to do anything about it. But I was actually able, when I put this presentation together, this was the most healing process for me. Making this presentation, I tell you the paper had many tears in it. Now this is a new copy, but it had many tears in it. And I was like, to be thankful, you know. But as I was writing, I realized, you know what, I am thankful. Because if God is going to take me to the next level of influence, and I truly believe you cannot get there unless if you're not humble and broken and thankful, you can't. So I knew that. It's like, okay, so there's another level of influence that God is calling me to. This is what I have to go through. And you guys, funny thing about me, I felt like God was asking me for permission. Some of you might understand that. Some not. It's okay. I'm not weird. I promise. But I talked to God, and He asked me, he asked me if I'm willing. And then he reminded me of a situation that's very unique to Romania and my team, and our teams in Romania. He reminded me that if I don't go, somebody else will. And if they go, it's a dark voice for my country. So he gave me a choice. And I said yes. And I think I'm coming to the next two slides. Last two. Give yourself time and grace. And I really mean that. Give yourself time. Just know that it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. This too shall pass, whatever it is. Don't allow yourself to become bitter. Resilience, it does require the hard choices, realizing that what you want long term is more important than what you want now. Now you just want to stay under the blankets. You don't want to do anything. The long term, you want your kids to see you succeed. You want your team to, I always actually say, I don't want my team to deserve me. I want me to deserve my team. I have the most amazing team. Tamara already knows. I told her, and I want to always earn them. I want to be good for them. So long term, that's what I want. So I'm gonna rise. And the only decision, I don't know where I heard this, but I thought it was just genius. The only decision that you should make in any valley, including dips in your business, maybe it was you said, I don't know, is not to quit. Don't stay there. Don't make a decision there. When you're in the valley, when your business is at your lowest, that is the worst place or time to quit. If you want to quit when you're on a playing field. Okay? You're not gonna quit when you're in the momentum rising up for sure. But if you wanna decide to quit, it's a decision. But make sure, guys, hear me, do not quit when you're in the valley. Never. Okay? Including when you're depressed. That's not the time to quit on life. Well, never, you should never quit on life. That was stupid. But the only thing that you should learn in the valley is the only thing that you should do is to learn. Just learn what can I do better. And then this is what I told myself before, this is when I finished this, I think yesterday I finished it. I am no victim. I'm defined by what God says, and I'm shaped by His promises. I shall rise stronger and wiser and more committed to inspire others to do the same. Will you rise with me? Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Carmen, for coming from New Jersey and sharing that with us. So we're almost at the end of the day. We saved the best for last. Miss Tamara, who put this all together. I'm going to introduce her now. Tamara is someone I met through Facebook. I love Facebook for this reason. I think I saw her through Stephanie Martin, was the first person that I heard talking about Tamara, and I quickly linked in through her group and added my team to her group, and since then a lot of my team has worked with Tamara. And you guys heard me speak earlier, you kind of know a little bit about me. I can be very rigid and structured, and it got to the point with my leaders where I thought they've probably heard enough from me. And there's certain lines that I won't cross with my team. I'll be hesitant to say you should go see a marriage counselor, or you should, certain life stuff that I don't want to talk about with them because I feel weird doing that. And Tamara has been that person for me and my team. Like I said when I was talking earlier, she's not someone, although she understands the business and can help you look at your back office, that's not what she's doing when she's working with people. She is basically calling you out on your shit. I don't know how else to say it. In this business I myself can link up with people who will co-sign that BS and let me stay where I'm at, or I can, face the difficult conversations and link up with somebody who's going to call me out on that stuff. And I find that anyone who I put with Tamara, they no longer have someone to co-sign that BS anymore. So I'm extremely grateful for everything that she has done with my team. I spent the day with her yesterday, and when I got home, I said to my husband, she just listens. She has an amazing ability to listen and then draw these, I don't know what it is. She's like a therapist or something. I don't know. But she was listening to me yesterday and saying certain things, and I got off the phone with my husband, and I forget what she said. She was like, "You're so honest," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You just are. That conversation with your husband, you were so honest." And it's just stuff that I would never think about myself or never understand, and she's able to bring light to it. So if you haven't gotten a chance to work with Tamara, I know that's not what this is about, but I'm going to plug it anyway. You should work with Tamara. It's worth every single penny to work with her, even if it's just for 1 month, to help you get to that next step. So she's going to close us out today. She was going to talk about grace. I'll let her tell you if she's still going to talk about grace. There might be a change of plans. But help me welcome the amazing Tamara.
You're welcome. Alright. Hi guys. Hi. I'm so excited about this event because I thought this was crazy at the beginning of the year to do this, and you guys don't know this. So I decided, hey, let's do belief retreats. And people kept going, nobody's going to care, it's got to have a business model. And I was like, nah, I do this all day long, man. I know what I'm doing. They need this. So I felt like I was supposed to release all the dates at once. Some of you might remember I made this really cool graphic, like this movie thing. It's because I was too much of a coward to get it on camera, where and actually be like, Omaha, we're coming after you. Omaha. And so I did it. It was an act of faith. And then the next day, this guy called. And we started a partnership that is allowing us to bring these to these cities. So I first have to thank him. So thank you, Susan. He took a massive chance on a girl that he had never heard public speak. This is his first time right now. Here in me, so hang in there, Betty. You'll be all right. So I'm talking about grace, but I'm actually going to talk about freedom. And that's the reason I'm wearing the shirt. That's the reason I bought a Moses cape and didn't realize it until I got in front of the mirror this morning. I was like, oh my God, you look like Moses. Oh my gosh, it's an emancipator. And so we're talking about grace and freedom. We're going to interchange them big time. So why did I choose Philadelphia? Why was this? I was insistent on this being the first city. Well, there's a lot of reasons. You know, obviously, it's birthplace of freedom. Saw that, I think, from a distance, but they looked a little bit alike. Y'all have a lot of historical buildings. I was like, is that it? Is that? I don't know. But Philadelphia, for me, was coming full circle because this was the birthplace of the prison of my self-hatred. I was born with hip dysplasia, and my parents didn't have any money. I was a what? kind of pregnancy, and then quickly followed by a very quick shotgun wedding. They were 18 and 19, and had not a dime. So there's a hospital, or there was, I don't even know if it is still here, in Philly called Shriners. And still here. Well, I would have to come up here twice a month because I had Forrest Gump braces. You remember, like, Jenny? Remember? Okay. All right. And I don't know why I went there, but it was anyhow. And at one point, they would pass out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I was aware of the other children. I was about 5, and everybody had some level of challenge, some type of deformity or something, and that was the moment I knew, if I'm here all the time, there's got to be something wrong with me. And at the same time, I was also being molested by multiple people. So I kept thinking, they've got to fit in. And that's when I started to hate myself. It was right here. And it kind of paved a foundation. But then I thought to myself, well, I'm going to wait for next Wednesday. And for the knight in shining armor. I kind of bought into that big time. I'm just going to wait till I get married, and he's going to be amazeballs. Next one will be, he's going to work real hard for me, man. Oh, and by the way, if you saw that I updated my Facebook picture with a picture of me and my ex-husband today, it was an accident. It was an accident, took it down do not think I'm with somebody. I nearly had a coronary and an aneurysm back there. I fixed it. Just solid. It came apart, man. But I waited for him. And my first fight with him was in Philadelphia. We were going to go to the steps because I was like, let's go run them. And we had a fight. And he said something, which I'm not going to say because my children might come across this one day. But he said something that made me know right away that I could not stop. So right away, again, I'm back to that same spot. That not only is there something physically wrong with me, there's got to be something emotionally enough wrong with me that I cannot be loved. And that I was flawed. When you believe you're flawed, that's a core truth. It goes down to the bones. That you then, the segue is, oh, well, I'm broken. I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. When other people are abusing you, it's something wrong with them, not you. It took me 20 years to get to that point. I knew I was unwanted because I wasn't wanted when I was born. And I wasn't wanted when I was married. So I came to a real quick consensus, I'm not wanted. And it ended with the lie that keeps everybody stuck. I'm not enough. So this was where I was. I was 22. And they told me I couldn't get pregnant, and like 3 months later, I was like, oh, why am I puking all the time? And it did. And went right into a life of mom mode with a marriage that was really unhealthy, but a heart that was more unhealthy than all of it. And so what happened was this. The lies in my head became the truth in my heart. And that's dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. If you want to know why I do the invisible outline, why I coach, because I will never, in my presence, watch somebody else come to that place ever again. My whole life will be given to stopping that. Period. And so, when you hit that place, the only natural place to go next is this. When you surrender hope for a predictable numb, I became numb. You know what you do when you become numb? Is you don't feel any of it, right? It's all just a big, like, epidural of life. You don't feel anything. And we think that that's called healthy. Do you know how many soccer moms are sitting on the edge of a field numb? How many men are driving in their car on autopilot numb? How many wellness advocates show up at convention numb? Yeah. It was easier. But guess what? To get rid of the pain, you also have to get rid of the joy. I didn't want to live like that anymore. But for a while, I did. And this became my story for 15 years. I was funny. I was cool to hang out with. But if you know me on a deeper level, this was who I was. I was aggressive. I mean, really aggressive. People see me like hugging people, loving people now. It's not who I was then. I was mean. And I would cut with my words. They were a weapon. And it was my way of saying, back off. So then when you go here, this is what belief looks like. It's not. It's just lies. Because in the middle of a belief, if you don't watch yourself, you've got a bunch of lies. And that's what I was believing. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough. I had things in my life telling me different. I had a full ride to college. I was being scouted, and this has never been told. I was being scouted by law schools. I had been given a full ride to study in England. And I had all these things. And all I could say is, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. You're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. You're not enough. That was my truth. I was a debater. I was like a champion debater. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I would win, and I'd go back to my room and get drunk. I don't drink anymore. And get drunk and hate myself and literally daydream about my suicide. That's where I was. It was a bad place. Because I lived with a wounded heart. The reason I can, people say, why is it you always know my stuff when we're in session? Because I've been there. I know what it's like to be verbally, mentally, physically, sexually abused. I know what it's like to be cheated on. I know what it's like to be foreclosed, 3 repossessions, bankrupt. Those weren't my call. Somebody else made those decisions, but I was caught in the collateral damage of it. I know what it's like to have a child born with a tumor and a child die inside of me at 22 weeks. I know what it's like to be in pain. And this is what I became. I was a master. You want to know me? Ask me what the problem is with a lot of people in doTERRA, this one. Do you know why somebody asked me recently, they're like, do you look unkempt when you go live? Is that for psychological reasons to connect? And I was like, in the morning I have a choice between iced coffee and kept. And iced coffee wins every time. No. And it's not that I'm doing it for psychological reasons. I just gave up being fake. So what you see is what you get with me. And sometimes I curl my hair, and sometimes I do sessions with no pants on. Because you can't see me. But more often than not, I say I'm the only person that can legally get paid $100 an hour to do something with no pants on. It's just because you gotta be you. When I told you earlier that Mandy had given me permission, that was a big deal for me. You know why? Because I looked at doTERRA and I was like, everyone's heard about my white yoga pants. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you anyhow. I saw somebody wear white yoga pants one time. And I was like, what? You got white yoga pants? You're basically saying, I'm so cool with myself that I know I'm not going to spill, I'm not going to do anything, and I have no cellulite. Check it. Like, behold, is really, when you wear white yoga, it's like, behold. And I saw this picture of her, and I was like, oh my God, white yoga pants. And then some poor woman, I said this last year when I spoke at like a pre-convention thing, and somebody found a chick with white yoga pants. I got 13 pictures of her butt that day. They were like, found her. I was like, it's not her. Stop, leave this poor woman alone. And she went, I'm sorry, and I have multiple pictures of your tail on my phone. So I became fake and easily offended. If you want to know what the cancer of doTERRA is, that one. That one. People coach with me because they think I'm going to get in the mud and sling it with them. Nope, I will never commiserate. If you have offense with your upline, guess what I'm going to tell you? Let's talk about forgiveness. Offense with your downline, let's talk about forgiveness. Let's talk about grace. They're like, I paid you, and I said, no, you paid me to help you. You paid me to help you. This is going to kill your business faster than any lack of a retention. That will. But this is the second part, is where I was dangerous. I was a hothead. Like, hothead. And that had, talk about putting a pressure on a marriage. Because I decided, you are going to pay for everything. You're going to pay for it all. But really, I was paying. When you don't want to get up because you don't think life is worth living, you're the one paying. See, yes, I was molested, 5 of them. But who paid? I did. Not anymore. That's their sin, it's my story. It's my story. In the moment, every time that I reach in and we have a session and a woman realizes that she's not what she's been through, that little girl's redeemed. That little girl is redeemed all the time. And that is the greatest part of my job, is that my story came out of other people's sin. But if you get this, you just join with them. I wasn't going to do that anymore. Because I was physically alive. We all do this, but then emotionally dead. And the feelings would come up. They'd come up over and over again. So I was really, really, really good at the next part, which is just burying them. Just let's go back and rebury them, which was a catalyst for depression. A couple of years ago, attempted to take my own life. I was real close, 15 minutes. I was driving to a bridge. And I couldn't find a reason to live. True story.
And I had to get to a point where I realized what I just told you, that I wasn't what I had been through. But what I had been through was what was making me who I am. And I had to get up. It's the greatest thing I've ever done. But I had to embrace the pain. I had to look at it and go, wait a minute, no. I'm not gonna let you define me, I'm gonna define you. I'm gonna define you now. I had to become a fighter. Because when it defines every step, and we've been there. I don't know if you've been there. I've been there, where it literally physically hurt to walk. I, 2015, went to convention and said I'd never go back again. Because there was some stuff that went down that hurt me. And I was like, I cannot subject myself to more rejection. 2018, I went back because I was booked to speak at things. And I was like, oh, farts. I've got to go. And I was not okay. And then all of a sudden, I watched redemption play out. Where I was ignored, I was remembered. When you go through the pain, oh, you're good, don't worry about it. No, you're good. I do it all the time. All the time. See, that's it. We ask for redemption stories, but we don't allow ourselves to stand in the pain enough and wait enough to get them. It was the coolest thing I've ever been through in 2018. I just sat there and witnessed it and was like, what's happening to me? Nothing had ever happened like that. I don't even know what just happened. I'm not in an electromagnetic field. Because when I had left there before, it was this. Every breath, every heartbeat, every moment. That's what my doTERRA journey had become. But this is what I had to do. My son was watching Lion King. I love Lion King. It's just the coolest, man. And I sat there and I heard, you have to remember who you are. I went, wait a minute. My whole life, my doTERRA journey, my life, my marriage was defined by everyone else's decisions. I was a punching bag taking the blow and deciding that that's who I was. Wait a minute. That is not who I am. And that is not who you are. People will ask me, why do you get people to rank when they work with you? I don't. If you really want to know, I could care less about that. 15 seconds is not something you should fight for. It's 15 seconds. You're going to walk for 15 seconds. 15 seconds, it's cool. Lavender carpet, I've been called out to the carpet, it's not purple, lavender, whatever. It's 15 seconds. If you're lucky, they're going to get 2 lines of your song lyric. 2 lines. Mine's Imagine Dragons, whatever it takes. It's going to be like, whatever, next. And I'm going to be like, come on. Don't build a business for 15 seconds. Build a business to change lives. Seriously? Oh. Do not build a business for 15 seconds. Build a business to change lives. It is not about that. It is not about it. I loved it. I had 13 people walk in last year, and it was awesome. It was amazing. But I could have cared less about the Spanx and the sequins and the fact that they wore shoes for those 15 seconds. And if you take any of those tablecloths, they were just littered with shoes underneath. Because none of y'all wear them, man. Because who wears those heels? Not me when I cross. Chucks all the way. You know, not even going to wear heels. Because it's not what it's about. We build it like that. But it's about the lives that you change. See, your story is supposed to be what connects you to someone else. So what I see is a lot of broken people buying a lot of systems that are going to make them feel more broken. I have no problems with systems. I don't advocate any because a lot of them are my friends and I'm not going to choose. Except one, Empowered Success, because doTERRA does it, and that's what I agree with. Seriously, why would you do something that's free in your back office? You can print it out. If you have toner, you have the whole system. It's not about that. It's not about a system. It's people forget how to get up. And then they go to convention and they convince them, this is what I get all the time. Tamara, it's for the pretty people. It's the pretty people. I'm like, where do you go? What? The pretty people are the presidential. And I'm like, they just have more money to pretty it up. If you saw them 5 years ago shot, you wouldn't be like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I can't say anything. I just got lash extensions yesterday here in the Philadelphia area. Really nice. She did this. This is her face. Delco, yes. I'm going to say that. Why did I do that? It was actually a really powerful moment. She doesn't realize it. But it was me deciding to do something, going in a different direction. Because I had to do this. When I hit my low point, when I was done, because I was terminating my account 3 years ago last March. No, two years ago. I'm not a diamond, by the way. You all always think I am, which is the coolest. I'm not. I'm a gold. And I was terminating. I had printed it out. My only person I had connection with was my account manager, who still remains one of my best friends. He's not there anymore. And he was like, wow, you're selfish. And I was like, excuse me? I'm sorry. You've seen what I've been through. He was like, yeah, I know, I just didn't realize you were selfish. It's really surprising to me. And I was like, you better be glad we're on a doTERRA recorded call, because this would go downtown, okay? And he was like, listen, if you can wait to get on the other side of this mountain, there's 1,000 people waiting for you. And I was like, I have nobody. If you go to events, if you're here right now and feel like you have nobody, been there, did it for 2 conventions, did it for 2 leaderships. You don't get to give up. I'm going to be blunt. You don't get to. You don't get to quit, because somebody is out there waiting for you. If I quit, you know the proudest thing, and I will get emotional, about the invisible upline, it's not the ranks. 5 marriages. 5 marriages I've had a hand in keeping together. 5. 14 children. If I had quit, that's wrong. We don't get to quit. You don't get to quit. You don't get to quit. You don't get to quit because you have a hard day. No, because they're waiting on you. Because where would Monique be if Jess didn't have the guts to say something? Where would Romania be? Literally, the country. I mean, seriously, we laugh, but like, I don't know if you think about that. Like, that country, the entirety of Eastern Europe, their gross national product, what they're going to make is going to change in the next 10 years because one woman said yes. You don't get to lay down. And he was right. And I got off the phone with him and I was like, that jerk's never getting another edible arrangement ever. Dark chocolate for you. And I had to get up from this. Now, I'm not talking about clinical, I'm not talking about medical, I'm just talking that I have put myself here. I'm sorry. I had to get up from this, which meant that I also had to get up from, you ruined my moment, Steve. It was like a big, I had to give up from living in wounds. I got used to it. And then I got cocky about it. So I was like, you don't know what I've been through. You don't understand. But at the same time, you didn't know, but I wasn't telling anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I did last year at convention. I decided to tell a bunch of my story, and I was petrified. But the reason I did it is based off of one of my favorite scenes in a movie. Who's seen 8 Mile? Okay. The rest of you are all liars. Okay, there's a scene in that movie. I wish we could show it, but you know, copyright violations and everything. And the fact that he drops the F-bomb about 98,000 times. But if you can get beyond that, it's one of those powerful moments in like cinematic history. Because he's in a rap battle, and they're going at it, and the goal is to destroy each other. Just to go cut as low as you can. And Eminem, who's in it, and yes, I do listen to worship, and yeah, I do listen to Eminem. Till I collapse is how I end every day. And so he looks at him, and then he destroys himself. He tells everything. He's like, yeah, I did grow up in a trailer park. Yeah, I don't know my mom. I'm not going to do the rest because of the obvious reasons. But yeah, he knows. And he tears himself down. And then he says, the best line ever. Now tell these people something about me they don't already know. He owned his story. To stop doing this, I had to own mine. I decided to stop being a victor and be like, oh no, you didn't. Yeah, you had me for a minute, but watch out to what I'm about to do with the rest of my life. Your sin is going to be ever known in these people's heads. They don't know your name, but they know what you did. That's powerful, friends. And that's what stopped me from causing wounds. Because yeah, I was causing them too. Why? Carmen said it, broken people break people. They do. I did. I was a beast for a long time. And I thought it made me strong. No, it was weakness personified. Strength is when you don't need to engage in the fight. I had to learn that the hard way because I hurt a lot of people. But I didn't realize I was in this. This affects a lot of lives. But we don't realize it does because we hide behind it. You know what? Do you want to know one of the biggest ways that I know one of my clients is in apathy? Excuses. If you have a downline giving you excuses, it's a big way to know. So the other, self-hatred. Why? I started gaining weight when I was 6 years old. Do you know why? Because one of the people that was violating me did not like heavy people. So I was smart enough to figure out how to make it stop. But my body, all of a sudden, also decided, hey, this is going to be a protection element forever. Because if you saw me eat, despite yesterday, what's up, Philly? Like, what's up? I had more carbs, but I couldn't stop myself if I tried. She was like, you want one more of these whites? I was like, yeah, okay. Okay, total transparency, total truth. Mandy, they sent you cannoli. I accidentally sat on it, and I started to throw away. I licked it out of the wrapper. I licked the whole thing out. I was like, this thing's not going in the trash. It was my boyfriend last night. Self-sabotage. This is huge in doTERRA. I watch this all the time. All the time. Do you know what we call it? It's doing a preemptive strike. I would rather fail on my terms than trust someone else to say yes. This is why people have a chicken list and don't call. Right there. Self-sabotage is also really selfish. Because it's you living halfway when someone needs you to be all the way. Go ahead. Lies in my head. They were 24/7. You're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. You're not pretty enough, you're not this, you're not that. You're not small enough. Oh my gosh. You're too much. I got that a lot. You're just too much personality. And actually that one recently came to the head when Eddie Villa did his, so he's a strength coach. He's actually certified through Gallup. He's outstanding. And he came on to show people kind of what he can do with me. And I mean, I bit a hole in the side of my cheek because I was like, don't fall. Because I just thought, because I don't cry pretty like, Mandy, you did cry pretty, you did. I'm sorry, it was really pretty. No, I look like I'm being electrocuted and snot just rolls out my face. There's nothing beautiful, and I was like, just bite. I still have like a little bit of a war injury from Eddie in here. And because he said, Tamara, you've been told you're too much. You're never too much. And it like hit me. There are some of you, not true, all of you, who have bought lies. And you spent retail price for them. If you don't think you matter, guess what? Don't be surprised that you can't get builders, because you can't sell what you're not sold on. If you don't think you're a good investment to partner with, don't expect other people to. Don't. You can't. Pain. I had to get up from it. It was a super comforting friend. It allowed and justified all of my behaviors. And then I had to get up from doubt. Doubt kills the doTERRA business. Well, is it gonna work? I don't know if I can do it. Do you think she'll build? I don't know. Will she build? I don't know. She hasn't called me back. Do you think she's mad at me? I think she's mad at me. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's because I didn't like her post. Ah, I should have liked it. Get up. Because it's bigger than us. That's what you said. It's bigger than us. This is not about us. This is not about your awesome picture to Disney where you spend the $25 for the, you know, the things. I'm gonna buy mine used off eBay. My kid won't know. It's all good. It's not about that. Is it fun to watch people do stuff? Yes. I am not a jealousy hog except for swag. I love the swag, and when I saw them have that little box from Hawaii, I was like, I want the box from Hawaii. And the tree, they could name it. They named it. You guys don't care, but that was a tough 2 days for me. I was like, oh my God, they're playing this. Save your box, because I said that in another one, and somebody gave me one, and she was like, this really means way more to you than it probably should. And I was like, don't judge me. I'm in the middle of a divorce. That's what I have. And I got that cool glass of water, and now I can't drink out of it because every time I do, I spill on myself. Did it at the gym, at a treadmill. Hard one. I think a guy thought it was more than that. Go back to that picture just for that. The reason I love this picture is because I'm actually a history buff. Super history buff. And this is a piss shot of the boys going to the beach at Omaha Beach, World War II. And like, they're all about 18, right? I have a 20-year-old. I know. I have an 18-year-old, a 17, or a 19-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And this picture always messes me up because they fully know what they were going into. Like, they knew that half of them weren't coming off that thing alive. And they did it. That's what our lives are supposed to be. Not in doTERRA, in everything. That you have to be willing to go to do something for something bigger than yourself. If you're the only recipient to your life, you missed it. You missed it. So, the Invisible Upline was born in total fear. I was utterly petrified. Because they were like, you should do this. And I was like, I'm good. That was my response. Just grunts and like moaning. And some of you may have heard the story. I worked with Jody Hoffman. She's a dear friend. She was like, let's do this. Let's launch this. And then she was like, that's a good idea. And then she was like, hey, come on the program now. It'll be fun. And she decided to launch it. And I sat there because I don't look like the rest of the stage. I'm not a size 4. I'm not a diamond. I'm in the middle of a divorce. Still was then. It's been a little tricky. Give up, buddy. And I didn't think that I could do this. Could I run a page? Why were presidentials going to care? I was so scared that I lost like 7 pounds of water weight that day. Digest tabs are like, there's a bunch of you in this room who are totally living in fear because you know you're on the cusp of something and you're playing small. You're totally playing small because you can't determine it's going to work. I didn't know if that was going to work. I had no clue. None. Jess didn't know me. I wasn't coming in and being like, check out my prezzies. It wasn't that. This was a total risk. It was all chips in and then step back. And then it worked. And it didn't work because of me. It worked because of you. Because what we found out is we needed a community where people were saying, get up. The reason I love Carmen, she's a presidential diamond. She stood here and admitted, hey, I had a hard time. If you think that it's all that, don't ever say you can't. She just gave you permission to do it. That's what she did. She just gave you permission to fight your battles. But as successful as it became, I questioned myself. And no more than I did with this. This was frightening. I've kept it cool with Steve, but there's been moments where I've been like, yeah. Because, you know, if you're going out, you're asking leaders. If they've worked with me, they're fine. But if they haven't, they're like, who is she? And then they probably watch one of the videos where I'm unkept. And I'm like, oh God, it's just a tough morning. But then I said, oh, well, because what you don't know is in the last year, I went back into adrenal failure. That's not fatigue. I actually had no rhythm of adrenal. It's a little tricky to live like that. And then it hit my thyroid. So then it was just a persistent gaining of weight. And I thought, I almost said crap, but well, never mind, I did. I was like, I have to go on this tour with like little people. And the Appleton tour is Dana Moore. And like, have you ever seen her butt? If you're watching, well done. Well done. And I was like, oh my God. And I started freaking out. And this was just recently where I had to realize it's all beautiful. The whole thing. There's a bunch of you who think you've got to pretty it up. Do you want to know why I'm standing in front of you? Because I was like, God, why are we doing this? And he said, because somebody is looking at you to be able to be relatable. They're going to look at you and go, she can, I can. If that's you, get up. Because if I can do this, you can too. There's nothing better than any of us than you. Nothing. So I had to say, so if you're going through something that's telling you you can't, this is what I asked my question. How is my body right? How has it served me? I just moved in January. Sorry to say it was awful. I moved up 39 steps. 39. 39. That's a lot, man. Think about it. Just think about it. Oh my God. And like I was carrying things. I did it. It served me. It's serving others every day. As I come home, I drop off that little boy, I turn on the video monitor, and those who work with me know, I say, I'm going in. Because I look at it like I'm going to rescue somebody. And then, what's the truth? What is the truth? So, with that in mind, you have to live out loud. I have to live out loud. I don't get, because of what I've been through, I don't get the right to play small because somebody's waiting to hear what I have to say. I don't get that. I don't get that permission. But guess what? I had to learn that I had to be heard. It wasn't how I looked or how I sounded or the rank I was. The fact that I will not be caught dead in yoga pants that are white. I have a feeling one day I'm going to be laid out in them bad boys just because my friends think it's funny. I'm very confident about that, actually. So does yours. So does yours. So, it's time to get up. I've stood in front of you, and so have they. All of these guys, who I adore. I love that picture of you, Monique, that's why I did it. That's why she's looking down, I just love it. And I know these people. And nobody there has a perfect life. Because there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Even though Carmen's arms, your arms look really great in that picture. So good. I was like, God, your arms look great. But nobody's had it easy there. So what are you getting up from? Because Carmen stood in front of you and admitted where she is. Mandy talked about her life. Jess talked about her life. Monique. These guys, they all stood in front of you. Nobody has played small today or in any way kept their story and prettied it up for you. So what are you getting up from? So I'm going to list off some things and I'm going to ask you to get really bold. Because I did it. I just stood in front of you and talked about my fear of weight, about the self-hatred, how I tried to kill myself. I just did it. So somebody in this room has to get up from this one. Who is it? And the next one, Steve? Believe me, I'm still standing too. That one's one for me. can sit down. Nobody stopped. I hope you're clapping for me. Nobody stopped. You kept standing up. The first person, it was scary that first time, but then all of a sudden there was freedom because you weren't alone. Because you realized the person next to you was struggling with body shame too. Or someone else is struggling with shame. And that's why you're weeping right now, because you figured out that the people you thought had it all together, they stood up too. So if you don't know this, I have an obsession with this woman. This is Harriet Tubman. I always cry when we talk about her. She's from Maryland like me. She's 4'11". She was illiterate. She was a slave. She had frontal lobe damage from having been beaten. And she found freedom in Philadelphia. And when she found it, what made her remarkable was that she said, now I know how to get here. I'm going to go back and get more. And that became my life. Is I'm going to go get more. And that's why I came to Philadelphia. Because it's where she found freedom, and I had to go take back 2 things. When Jess drove me by the steps yesterday, she didn't know it, but I took that moment back. I am not unlovable. And when I saw the hospitals, I couldn't find Shriner. She didn't even know I was looking for it. But I was like, I am not wrong. I came full circle to take something back. And yesterday, Jess took me by this, found it online. It's really like an I thought everybody knew it, but it just sits at a school. I don't remember what it is. The Performing Arts School. It's just a part of it. It's just a part of the building. But I've been in love with this forever. Because it felt like when I came to Philadelphia, I was finally going to be there. And you know what? I was. And when I saw that thing yesterday, despite the fact that some kid came up and slapped it in the butt. But I probably would have done the same thing at 17 too. But it was like, finally, it came full circle. Nobody knew until today why it had to be Philly for me. Because I had to come back and get something. And I hope you leave here going and running down, finish your circle. Hunt down what took something from you. Take it back. Because nobody can stop you. And that's why when I got off the plane yesterday, I literally said, game on. I'm taking my life back. And that's why I'm going to end with this one. Because when I was 17, I said I want to public speak. And I felt like that's what I was supposed to do with my life. And 25 years went by until a really dear friend of mine, I coached her team, and Jen Brady said, hey, why don't you come speak? She had no idea that she became a conduit to 1,000 dreams. And then I thought, let's go around. Can Steve and I be crazy enough to go around the country and inspire people that when they leave this event, maybe they're going to go after that wellness consult that they gave up, that builder that they gave up, or maybe they're going to just bring the business at the end of a class. I'm not crazy to do it. Today is day 1. And I pray that I do this for every day that I'm in doTERRA, that we are constantly setting up these retreats. Because you have to learn how to tell your voice. It's okay to speak. Guys, I cannot thank you enough for coming out and being the inaugural one of hopefully what will be many. I know I can speak for both of us. We're so incredibly grateful. Thank you so much, friends. I love that you don't even realize you're on mic right now. That was great. It was like she's used her voice big. So we're going to close it out this way. The store will remain open for how long?
Another 20, 25 minutes.
Another 20, 25 minutes. I am doing something for Philly that I don't do. This is not why I do this. This was not what this is about. I am discounting significantly. I only have 10 spots available for this month, but I'm bringing it down to $350. Do not put it online because I will not honor it for other people outside of this room. So if that's something you want, there's only 10. You're gonna have to come talk to Colette or myself. Are you leaving?
No, I'm gonna go out.
She's going out. Go to Colette. Wave at them, pretty lady. Oh, look at her go. That is it. Toby will be here for how long?
About the same.
Another 20 minutes, so go talk to Sai if you want to. But again, guys, thanks so much.